You've probably scrolled past someone's life and thought, what do they have that I don't? Maybe it's a coworker who got promoted twice while you were still finding the coffee machine. Maybe it's a friend who started a business and somehow it just worked. Your brain wants to hand you an easy answer. They were born smarter, they got lucky, they know someone. And sure, sometimes that's part of the story. But here's what it's usually not: raw talent. Most people who reach that level weren't the most gifted person in the room. They weren't even close. So here's the line I want you to actually remember, because it's going to reframe everything else in this video. Successful people aren't better at succeeding. They're better at failing. Let that sit for a second. Because for most of history, we told this story backwards. We assumed success came from a fixed pool of ability. You either had it or you didn't. Smart kids stayed smart. Talented people stayed talented. Everyone else adjusted their expectations and moved on. Then, psychologist Carol Dweck spent decades studying something that quietly broke that whole model. She found that people generally operate from one of two belief systems about their own abilities: a fixed mindset, where skill is something you either have or don't, or a growth mindset, where skill is something you build through effort and repeated failure. And this isn't just self-help language. It's not believe in yourself fluff. It's a measurable difference in how a person's brain responds the moment something goes wrong. Here's the mechanism. When people with a fixed mindset fail, their brain treats it like a verdict. The failure isn't, "that attempt didn't work." It's, "I am not capable." And a verdict doesn't invite another try. It invites retreat. People with a growth mindset process the same failure completely differently. Their brain treats it like a signal, not a sentence. Something like, "that approach didn't work, adjust, and try again." Same event, two entirely different internal translations. Think of it like a smoke alarm versus a fire. A fixed mindset hears failure and reacts like the whole house is burning down. A growth mindset hears the same beep and just checks the toast. And once you see this pattern, you start noticing it everywhere. Thomas Edison ran through thousands of failed filament designs and reportedly described each one as simply learning what didn't work, not evidence he wasn't cut out for it. Michael Jordan was famously cut from his high school varsity team and used it as fuel instead of proof. J.K. Rowling collected a stack of rejection letters before Harry Potter ever got published. Sarah Blakely, founder of Spanx, has talked about her father asking at dinner what she failed at that week, because in her house, failing meant you were trying. None of these people were failure-proof. They were failure-fluent. That's the actual skill. But before you take this and turn it into another stick to beat yourself with, we need to slow down. Before you diagnose yourself with a fixed mindset and add it to your list of personal flaws, let's be honest for a second. This isn't about grinding harder or refusing to ever feel bad about a setback. There's a version of pushing through failure that's healthy, and a version that's just quiet self-destruction wearing a motivational quote. Angela Duckworth, who researches what she calls grit, has been careful to point out that persistence without direction isn't the goal. The goal isn't stubbornness, it's sustained effort aimed at something that actually matters to you, adjusted along the way based on what you're learning. Grit isn't refusing to change course, it's refusing to quit on the underlying goal, even while the specific approach keeps evolving. That distinction matters because the unhealthy version of this, the one nobody puts in a highlight reel, looks like overworking yourself into burnout, tying your entire self-worth to outcomes, or treating rest as a moral failure. That's not resilience. That's fear wearing resilience's clothes. So ask yourself, quietly, right now, when you fail at something, do you get curious or do you get cruel to yourself? Do you adjust the plan or do you abandon the goal entirely? And is the effort you're putting in actually pointed somewhere, or are you just staying busy so you don't have to sit with uncertainty? There's a second piece of research worth adding here. Psychologist Albert Bandura studied something called self-efficacy, basically your belief in your own ability to produce a result. And he found this belief isn't built by people telling you that you can do it, it's built by proof. Small wins stacked over time, each one acting as evidence your brain actually trusts. Think of confidence less like a light switch and more like a callus. You don't get one by wanting it, you get one through friction, applied again and again, until what used to hurt barely registers anymore. There's a word in Japanese that gets at this better than anything in English: ganbaru. It roughly means to persist with quiet, steady effort, even under pressure. But crucially, it's often framed as something you do within a community, not as a solo grind. That's a useful contrast because a lot of Western success stories get told as one person, alone, willing their way to the top. Psychologists studying resilience across cultures have found that people with strong support systems around them, people who let others help carry the weight, tend to sustain effort longer than people trying to do it entirely alone. So, if part of you has been struggling lately, feeling like you're behind, like everyone else got some formula you missed, here's your permission slip. The struggle you're in right now isn't separate from the process. It is the process. Every person you've ever admired for making it spent a large, invisible stretch of time exactly where you are now, except nobody was filming it. But keep the nuance close. This isn't permission to stay stuck and call it growth. If a season of struggle has stretched into avoidance, if you've stopped trying new approaches and you're just repeating the same failed attempt on a loop, that's not resilience either. Ask yourself, am I still adjusting? Or have I quietly given up while telling myself I haven't? Here's the line to actually take with you. Failure isn't proof I can't, it's data on what's next. Say that to yourself the next time something falls apart, out loud if you have to. But here's the question this video leaves open, and it's the one that actually matters more than anything we just covered. If failure is where growth happens, why do so many capable people still avoid it entirely, even when they know all of this?